Change. It's pretty much the one constant in our work and, in our lives. It can feel disruptive, maybe even a little scary. But what if it's also our biggest opportunity? So let's dive in and break down how to stop fighting change and actually start mastering it. It's a huge question, isn't it? We all know change is coming, it's inevitable, but so often our first gut reaction is to dig in our heels and resist. In this explainer, we're going to explore the psychology behind that resistance, and this is the important part, we'll lay out a practical roadmap for what to do about it. So, what are we really talking about here? Well, managing change isn't just about damage control when things go sideways. It's the art of looking around the corner, anticipating what's next, and adapting before you're forced to. It's about playing offense, not defense. Okay, so first things first. The biggest step is actually a mental one. Truly accepting that change isn't an if, it's always a when. It's the fundamental constant we have to get our heads around before we can even begin to manage it. So where's all this change coming from? Well, it's a perfect storm, really. You've got technology that completely rewrites the rules overnight. New laws can shift the entire landscape. And then bam, new competition pops up, seemingly from nowhere. On top of all that, you've got customers who expect more and more, and your own team whose expectations are changing too. It's a constant swirl of motion. So if change is so constant, why on earth is it so hard? Well, that brings us to the human element. See, the biggest obstacle isn't a new piece of software or a different process. It's that resistance barrier that we all, as humans, naturally put up. At the absolute core of our resistance is one single, really powerful emotion: fear. And specifically, it's the fear of the unknown. When we don't know what's coming next, our brains are wired to fill in the blanks, usually with the worst-case scenario. And that anxiety makes us cling to what's familiar, even if what's familiar isn't all that great. And this fear, it gets really personal really fast. People start wondering, will my role still be needed? Is this new process going to make my skills totally useless? This question of job security is one of the biggest, most powerful reasons people will fight a new initiative. I mean, it's about survival. And then sometimes, let's be honest, resistance is just about simple inertia. We're all creatures of habit. Doing things the way we've always done them is comfortable, it's easy, it's low energy. So breaking that routine, even if it's for something way better, just feels like a lot of work. Okay, so we've kind of diagnosed the problem, right? Fear, uncertainty, and good old-fashioned inertia. But how do we actually solve it? Let's pivot to the really powerful strategies that can turn that resistance into acceptance and, hey, maybe even some genuine enthusiasm. One of the absolute best strategies is employee empowerment. Remember that fear of job security we just talked about? Well, empowerment is the perfect medicine for that. It's about being really clear on the what, the goal, and then trusting your team with the how. When you give people the resources and the autonomy they need, you give them a sense of control over their new reality. And that turns fear right into engagement. But of course, it's not a magic wand. Empowerment can be a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, the benefits are just huge. You get better service, morale goes up, and you unlock skills you didn't even know you had. But with more freedom comes more risk. The risk of mistakes, of added stress, and yeah, sometimes new conflicts. It's a powerful tool for sure, but you've got to manage it carefully. And right alongside empowerment, you've got to have teamwork. Look, change is just too big for any one person to handle. By creating teams that really work together cooperatively, you bring all these different skills and viewpoints to the table to tackle the challenge. It creates this amazing shared sense of ownership. Teams have this natural life cycle. First, they're forming, basically just a collection of individuals. Then comes storming. This is that messy, tricky phase where there's conflict and people are jostling for roles and debating ideas. But if you can push through that, you get to norming, where the rules of the road get established. And then finally, performing. That's where the team just clicks and works like a single, well-oiled machine. So we've got empowerment and teamwork. Those are crucial strategies. But to truly master change, you have to go deeper. You need to embed these ideas into the very DNA of the organization. You have to build a culture of quality. This is where a concept called total quality management, or TQM, comes into play. And I want you to think of it less as a program and more as a whole philosophy. It's a complete shift in focus, away from just reacting and fixing problems and toward preventing them from ever happening in the first place, all while keeping the customer at the absolute center of everything you do. So, how do you build this kind of culture? Well, it all rests on these 5 interconnected pillars. It all starts with the customer. Then you have a deep commitment to continuous improvement. And how do you do that? Through the exact strategies we just talked about: empowering your employees and building amazing teamwork, all of it supported by solid quality assurance. See how it all just locks together? And the payoff for getting this right, it's enormous. You don't just get happier customers or a better company image. You get real, tangible results. We're talking greater productivity, fewer costly mistakes, and a much stronger position against any of your competitors. This is the stuff that really moves the needle. I love this quote because it just perfectly nails the whole spirit of TQM and effective change management. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. It's about designing a resilient system from the very beginning. And in the end, it all really comes down to this. Change is like a force of nature. It's going to happen. But our response to it, that's a choice. We can either get overwhelmed by it or we can build the skills, the teams, and the culture to harness its energy. The choice is always ours.